welcome to Sports Counsel, your playbook for all things sports. I am your host Matt, and I am here with Bryant and Dillon for this episode of the show. The San Francisco 49ers 2025 season is finally and mercifully over. We break down their final game in Seattle, reflect on the season as a whole, and discuss what we think is next for the franchise to return to Super Bowl contention next season. Today is January 26th, 2026, and this is episode 206 of the show.
Well, it's mercifully over. I think that's a good way to put it, Matt.
The year's ruined.
I don't think the year's ruined. The year just started.
I mean, the year's over for us.
This was a good season to get to the Super Bowl, but we fell short.
Fell short is definitely saying something. Unfortunately, yeah, we don't do a lot of Niners pods on this show, Sports Counsel in general, but we are actually all 49ers fans. This is a Bay Area based show, and we usually do a Bay Area specific podcast. Unfortunately, when the season ends prematurely. And I mean, we've done it for the Warriors for several years now, and now it's time for the 49ers turn. It was a different season though, guys. I mean, we'll definitely have our thoughts and reflections on kind of the season overall. But I just want to remind everyone, first of all, we are Sports Counsel. This is our podcast. And if you want to see more of the latest and greatest of our sports takes, you can go on to sports_counsel on Twitter, on Threads, on Instagram, on TikTok. We do have a TikTok now. And you can see the latest and greatest of our sports takes and content there, as well as our podcast that you're listening to right now. It's available on all platforms. There's also a link to our Discord where you can join our community and kind of conversate with us. If you have any thoughts on the 49ers or on this podcast, you can talk with us directly there. We will be there. We are active and we are listening at all times. So definitely check it out, sports_counsel. Join our Discord link as well. But yeah, let's get into it, guys. I think you already kind of summarized some of the thoughts of the season, but let's just do a quick summary of the entire 49ers season because, that's what we're here to do. So, just to recap a 2025 49ers season. So, the 49ers went 12-5 in the regular season overall with a 4-2 divisional record against opponents. They unfortunately suffered a lot of injuries just to start the preseason and the regular season. And in week 1 in Seattle, where they started the season, they had a great comeback win, 17-13 over Seattle, but Brock Purdy unfortunately suffered a turf toe injury that would take him out for a significant portion of the season. George Kittle got hurt with a hamstring injury as well in that game. And if injuries were the name of the game in that game, it was the name of the game for the entire season. The injuries kept coming. Week 3 against the Cardinals, Nick Bosa tears his ACL. Week 6 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Fred Warner dislocates his ankle, and he's basically out for the remainder of the season. Michael Williams in week 9 against the New York Giants tears his ACL. He's done for the season. And I'm only talking about some of the biggest injuries that happened. There were several more that took place. And, I can't even speak on it. I believe they were the 3rd highest rate of starters missed games due to injury. But, despite all of that, they did manage to finish 12-5. They were 1 game away from getting the first seed in the NFC. Unfortunately, they lost to Seattle in the final week of the regular season, and they fell all the way to the 6th seed, where they faced the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending champions, managed to pull out a hell of a win to upset the defending champions in their own home as a little bit of a payback. But unfortunately,
die Eagles die.
Unfortunately, they fell in Seattle in the divisional round 41-6, losing to a divisional rival in the playoffs once again, and coming up short, unfortunately, in a season where the Super Bowl would be hosted at Levi Stadium, which is their home stadium. So they missed a shot at being able to be in the Super Bowl, play in the Super Bowl, and maybe even win a Super Bowl in their own stadium. And unfortunately, that is it for the 49ers season. We've known this for a week now. Takes a little bit of time for us to process it, but now that we're here, let's go first through the loss in Seattle, the final game of the season. What did you guys think? What were your first reactions? Kind of give me your takeaways on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, before you even kind of get into it, I think you forgot two very important details, Matt. One, we got to investigate that electric substation that's next to the practice field. I think they're already opening investigation.
That's a very interesting topic.
Exactly. Maybe it wasn't strength and conditioning like I thought myself, probably said in the power in season. Really, it's investigate the substation. And it's almost funny, ironic that what was seemingly like a conspiracy theory meme, I think they're like actually investigating it now at this point, which is crazy. And the other detail is one very important non-injury, but equally important to bring up. Brandon Aiyuk, where are you? We saw you drive by the stadium at 95 miles per hour or whatever. Dude just crashed out. What was supposed to be number one wide receiver. So, I mean, yeah, Purdy didn't have what should have been one of his top targets for the entire season too. So, yeah, just another addition to the slew of injuries, non-performances we've had about this season. But yeah, I'm honestly at 12-5 after all of that. That's just an incredible job.
I think also, Matt, you forgot to mention how many linebackers we went through this entire season. We were down to our 6th and 7th linebacker during the playoffs, and I thought that was crazy. And it was like amazing on what Robert Saleh was able to do with like a bunch of scraps essentially. And how he was able to turn those into like decent weapons, I'll be honest.
Yeah. And that's all a testament to the coaching staff. And then we can definitely discuss kind of the miracle kind of job that they pulled, I think, throughout the season. But I mean, again, going back to the Seattle game for a second, I mean, I just want to get past it first of all. Brian, we discussed all the losers last week in our divisional round losers kind of segment, except for the Niners because we were withholding it. It's easy to say this is a good old-fashioned blowout, and I think that's the case. And, you could obviously just move on from it because in one case, they are super injured. This is a team that basically shouldn't have been here. It is a miracle that they even got here. And we saw basically how that defense was at the end of the season. It was terrible, right? So it's no surprise they gave up 40 in this loss. I mean, first of all, maybe don't allow a 97-yard return touchdown in the first seconds of the game, man. Right? That's one thing.
Be pretty helpful.
Yeah, I remember checking like when I was watching it, I was like, oh my god, is this how we're really gonna start off the game after coming off a win against the Eagles in their home turf? But yeah, that kind of like sucked the life a little bit out of me, dude. Like,
I didn't even get up yet. I was still seated on the couch. I usually get up for the games. No. I can't believe
that was just enough. I mean, I think, yeah, it's really these losses in the playoffs. I think every time your team loses in the playoffs, it's very revealing. I think the fan base, I would see on Twitter, right, especially with the Rams loss, right? Suddenly all the fans know exactly what's wrong with the team, right? For the Rams, it was the secondary. I think for the Niners against that Seahawks game, right? It's just a combination of all the factors that we're weak at throughout the season, right? The inability to pressure opposing QBs, although I think we did get like 2 sacks in that game, but that I think the passing defense too, which was really vaunted, I think pretty solid throughout the season. I think that was also exposed really against these elite wide receivers, right? Our safeties, our secondary help out there. I think that was also an issue. And honestly, I think for the offense, I would say a lot of it probably was injuries, right? Purdy, like, who are you throwing to out there? McCaffrey's taking over the backfield there. You have like Tonjas, Jennings, that's not much beyond that. You can't even get to them because the pocket can't even hold up against that Seattle's front there. So I think on the offense, there were a lot of, key injuries that just deflates any chance really to going against such a high-powered team like Seattle. But, the defense for as well as it played, there's definitely a lot of positions that they need to bolster, as the offseason approaches and it was exposed by Seattle in that last game.
I still remember from that game, like after that first touchdown, then I had to step away. Then next thing you know, it was like 17-0 in the first quarter. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I hate to say it, but I wasn't able to watch the entire game because I had to go to a Twice concert. And
Twice over the Niners? Come on, man.
I was wearing fun fact.
Yeah, but I was wearing my Christian McCaffrey t-shirt at the concert, but it was just like, because I'm pretty hopeful like typically when we're down, like it's never done until timer runs out, as usually when it comes down to sports. But like the next thing when I checked my phone, it was like 6-31, and I was like, well, shit, man, we're getting belt to ass essentially. But
I mean, yeah, at a certain point, like, you can't overcome too much, right? A deficit, like, first of all, you're heading into the first seed stadium. They're off a bye week. You're on 5 days rest, and the game plan for an underdog is to not make mistakes. First of all, make your opponent make a lot of mistakes. Let them play uncharacteristically, and try to make them force them to your type of ball, right? They didn't do that, right? From the jump, they allowed them to get to a 7-point lead. Now you're already playing, you're playing from behind. You have to come back, right? And then on that first drive, right, they go for it on 4th and 1 or whatever, and it's some kind of weird option from Juszczyk to McCaffrey. They haven't been able to run the ball well all season, and Seattle snuffed it out immediately. Turnover on downs. And I believe there was I want to say there was a field goal on the next drive. Next one, Purdy to Tonjes. Tonjes gets the ball forced out, forced fumble. Seattle touchdown. Next one, right? 17-0, just like that. You can't make so many mistakes in a row. That's how you get to 17-0. And then you're climbing back 6-17, right? And sure, you put the field goals on the board. You don't go for it because you need the points. I am okay with that at that point. And you have an 11-point, advantage. You get the ball back, I believe, to start the second half, so you have a chance. But then Seattle drives all the way down the field, scores another touchdown before the half, 24-6 at halftime. Hard to come back from that. Like, at that point, it was over. Like, the second half didn't even matter at that point because that's already enough. They didn't even score, I don't think, the rest of the game, right?
No,
even that, that punt return, that kickoff return touchdown was enough to win the entire game. So, like, you can't do that. You can't make that many mistakes. And, I mean, Bryant, like, I think you alluded to that. Like, it's a microcosm of what we've seen all season where it's like they can't run the ball well. And when you're up against this really, really good Seattle defense that even beat the Rams just this week, you can't be one-dimensional, right? You have to be able to run the ball. You have to be able to protect Purdy better. Purdy was running for his life in, both the Week 18 and this game. He's always just running for his life. He has no one to throw it to. Like, Tonjes even got hurt in the game. I think McCaffrey got hurt in the game. So he was throwing it to Jordan James and Luke Farrell. Yeah, you can't do that at a certain point. Like, you can blame the weapons, but at the same time, you can also, like, there's just no protection out there, and they need something. And they need to take the pressure off Purdy in more ways than one.
Yeah, I want to see the PFF grades for our O-line on there. I wonder how bad is it compared to the Chargers. Probably not as bad as the Chargers, but I think our guards definitely need to take a look at them throughout the offseason there. Because, those guys are the Seattle guys just plunging straight through the gaps there. And Purdy had 3 seconds to throw every time.
They were just turnstiles.
Yeah, and then there's no weapons, I think, that Seattle fears, right? Kittle is a big thing, but Kittle also tore his Achilles. I forgot to mention that. Terrible, terrible injury.
Yeah.
But, you have Juwan Jennings and Pearsall, and they've been decent to serviceable, when Pearsall's been playing and Juwan Jennings has been playing. But they're not world beaters out there. And I think that when you look at the defense they played, they just blanketed them. There was no separation whatsoever. And you have to wonder if, how are you going to get... You probably need a receiver that gets better separation. I think it's a good thing we did this pod after the Rams game because you saw it. The Rams were still able to put up 20-something points against these guys. But, obviously they have Stafford. They have a good offensive line that was able to protect him. I don't think he took many sacks. And then you had Puka and Devontae, which are just world beaters out there. And you have that 3 tight end set. So it's you have all these weapons out there and, we don't have that. So it's kind of a wake-up call for Kyle Shanahan. He was able to do so much with a very limited offense, and I think we were actually top 5 in offense and offensive EPA in every game this season, except for 3 games.
I think that's something you gotta respect too, with what we had for a majority of the season.
Yeah, but I'm worried in a sense because I don't think it's gonna cut it because these are your divisional rivals, right? These guys are in the Super Bowl. And these guys are not going away. Mike McDonald's defense, Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan have struggled with it in several games now. We had that Baltimore game in Christmas, when Mike Macdonald was the defensive coordinator. And now we have 3 games basically this season where the Niners, they put up less than 20 points in every one of them. They didn't even score a touchdown in the last 2 of them. So I'm a little worried that this might be a long-term thing. If there's one thing that Kyle Shanahan, I think, has to take with him this offseason is how am I going to figure out Mike Macdonald's defense? Because that's probably the biggest opposition that's going to stand in your way of getting to a Super Bowl now.
And he's got to really put the thinking cap back on that. That genius of Shanahan's got to show him. Because, I mean, the Seahawks they've set the game now. Can Shanahan solve another defense out there? And this defense is Super Bowl caliber, quite literally. So we definitely need to rearm on the talent on that front. I mean, it's been as good as, as Shanahan, as Saleh is with the positioning, the game plan out there. Sometimes it comes down to the physicality in that talent and the speed. And I'm just not seeing that for us right now.
Yeah, I definitely think they need to do something. Like, first of all, obviously upgrade talent and see what happens. You may have to switch up the scheme a little bit because obviously there's something right now. Because, I mean, we had the Avengers out there for the Baltimore game and it didn't seem to work. So I think one thing is that you definitely have to get back to the run. You definitely have to upgrade the offensive line. I'd really try to follow the Rams model here because obviously the Rams have something and have figured out something that, the Niners haven't, even with the, similar kind of scheme. So I try to copy what McVay's doing there.
Yeah. Honestly, both the Seahawks and the Rams, that's actually a really good point because it made me literally just realize, right? Both of those teams are competitors in the division. They're running basically 2 running backs the whole time, right? Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, Blake Corum a lot more alongside Kyron Williams in the latter part of the season too, right? I feel like both of those running backs in both situations are quite, similar and versatile, but you keep each other fresh, might even lessen your chances of severe injuries out there in if you think of it in some ways. But yeah, just mixing it up, having multiple threats on the running game out there, right? When McCaffrey wasn't out there, and McCaffrey had probably one of his least efficient seasons out there, it was Brian Robinson. I don't think he was providing too much for us this season. So yeah, back at that run game. And honestly, it does start with that offensive line. Too many times, I've seen too many teams make the mistake of upgrading the running back before the offensive line. Looking at you, Raiders. So
I was about to say
it kind of starts there.
What's up, Genty?
Shout out Genty.
Yeah. No, the Niners' run game offense was horribly inefficient this year. And I'll give up the stats later on McCaffrey. We'll talk about them for a second. But I definitely think that, this offense needs to get back to, I think Kyle Shanahan's offense has always been run, and then do the play action, right? But because we've been so inefficient as a run team this year, they've had to just be a drop back team where it's like first down pass, second down pass, third down pass. It's every time it's a pass. And when you do that, Seattle just knows exactly what you're going to do. And then they're already in position. They're already covering. They already got the, 4-man rush because they know they can beat you with them. And then everyone else is in coverage, right? And you could see, I saw some game film painfully of, Seattle just, everyone's communicating. They know exactly where the assignments are. They know exactly what the passing scheme is because they know it's going to pass. If you give them a little bit of hesitation that they think it's a run, you open up a little bit of window, right? So they definitely need to upgrade that run game. But let's talk about, just the general overall feeling of the season because, for all the, griping and moaning that's been going on. And honestly, I saw some terrible, Twitter takes and threads takes about they should have fired Kyle Shanahan. He looks so unprepared for that game. Man, you were just singing his praises a day ago when he beat the Eagles. I know it's tough, but
what are you talking about?
Yeah, you can't fire Kyle Shanahan.
You go
at this
send
point.
send the best coach. Who do you think is coach of the year this year? Send him out there with that Niners team and see if they can win a game against the Seahawks, Super Bowl level team out there. That's borderline an impossible task. So
I feel like every year people are always saying fire Shanahan, and I'm kind of okay, then who are you gonna pick up in return? You fire Shanahan. They're I don't know. Then I'm kind of well, shut up.
Good point.
Half the league now is basically a Shanahan McVay disciple. So, at that point, I've always kind of been a little bit critical of Kyle Shanahan, and I still will be with certain aspects of him. Obviously the blown lead stuff, and sometimes certain decisions that he makes. But at the same time, he really impressed me in his ninth season, no less, because even I thought God, we were so done. In the first game of the year, Brock Purdy gets turf toe, and Mac Jones is going to be the starter for half the season. You told any Niners fan basically that Nick Bosa's out for basically the majority of the season. Fred Warner's out. George Kittle's basically out for a long time. Aiyuk never came. Purdy is out for half the year. Trent Williams missed a game or two. What record do you think they had? Probably not 12-5, and probably wouldn't be in the divisional round, right? So big ups, honestly, to Kyle Shanahan for this season. He carried this team. Robert Saleh carried this team. I've been so impressed, honestly, with the coaching. It gives me a little bit of faith that they've definitely got something. No matter what happened this year, I really believe that this coaching staff can win with any team they have on this roster.
I mean, I think they maximized. They quite literally maximized what they could do was the cards they were playing, the team that they had, the use, especially in the defense, and they really across the board too. I think they pretty much maximized how well they could have done this season too. So maximum props to that coaching staff. They got every drop of juice from that team.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on how overall you felt about the season? Do you feel like this is overall a success, or is it you feel a little bit? I feel a little bit bitter, I think, about it. I mean, it's great that we got here, but at the same time, I feel a little bit jaded that, what happens if we actually had Warner back, right? If he came back the next game, or he came back even in this game, would we get further, right? If we had Bosa, if we had, all these players, right? That's a little bit how I'm feeling.
I feel like the past few years, we've always kind of gotten the short end of the stick, but even with the Super Bowls, but every year, I mean, we always make it to the playoffs, but we always fall short. Not only that, we always get injuries, or there's always one sort of offseason drama that kind of happens to us. And this year, it had to be Brandon Aiyuk getting
again,
refusing the play. Yeah, refusing the play, even though we just signed a new contract with him, and especially how the whole season played out. Again, what you said with Brock getting injured with turf toe, then we had all our defensive stars getting injured week after week. But I think from this whole season, in the bigger perspective, it was kind of amazing to see, even though we didn't have our star players, we can still put up a above average defense and a above average offense, and still be able to compete with the best of the best, the Seahawks, the Rams. Who else?
Bears,
I don't know
I
who
guess.
else. The Bears, Philly, right?
Yeah.
Carolina. It's a testament of what Kyle and what Robert Saleh was able to do this year, given all the circumstances. So, I mean, it sucks, but I think it just kind of puts a test in our faith to just keep believing that the next season that we're going to get back stronger, we're going to continue to compete, and hopefully it ends the drought at one point.
Yeah, I mean, definitely echoing all of your points there. I think this season, I think Matt and I, right, in the first podcast for this, I mean, we've been cynical Niner fans if it's not obvious enough for a while, and it's hard to kind of leave that mentality. There's a lot of positive and a lot of bad here, I would say. The bad is this team isn't getting any younger in some of the key positions, like Warner, Kittle now, tearing your ACL at 32. That's not going to feel good. Bosa, those have all been key parts on our Super Bowl runs in the past, and those key players, they're getting hurt, not as healthy, may not even be available for chunks of next season too. So those are key players we'll have to find a way to work around, or look at the young men's club, right? Who do we have in that? We have a very, our defense, right, had its ups and downs, but I took a lot of positives, right? You're starting so many first, second year players, right? Especially in, the secondary, guys like Up and Stout, I think Lenore's probably there a lot longer now, 2 or 3 years. But like Ronaldo Green, our
Mm-hmm.
safeties out there, right? They're young, and then on their first couple of seasons, right, they already have reached the playoffs and have experience playing the games in the playoffs. So I think the foundation. I think I'll summarize it as this, right? There's a lot of key players on our teams from Super Bowl teams of the past, Super Bowl caliber teams of the past are getting hurt, but I think there's a lot of optimism for the future, especially with this team, right? Reach the playoffs, young guys, they can develop, take another step in the next season there. So, yeah, a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, and I should have prefaced maybe in the season summary, but this was really going to be a rebuilding year for, the whole club. I was very frustrated with it because I thought, with our schedule as like a third place team and, we had a 10th overall pick and all this cap space, right? I thought we were poised to make a push finally, right? Get the Super Bowl in our stadium, win. But then John Lynch basically shed a lot of cap space early on. He got rid of, veterans like Malik Collins, Javon Hargrave, Deebo Samuel, just basically got rid of all these very expensive guys and replaced them with very young guys, right? Ricky Pearsall, Alfred Collins, CJ West, a bunch of just rookies, Upton Stout, definitely. And basically on paper, like I think we basically overhauled the entire defense. Like I think when we were talking about it to begin the season, Brent, we said like basically 8 of the 11 starters were new players, rookies, or, just not familiar with the system. So totally different kind of year. And, you come into the year with Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall as your starting wide receivers and, not much else, right? We didn't even replace our left guard really well either. So basically it was supposed to be a rebuilding year. And then you have all the injuries. So yeah, it was very impressive. And if anything, I think my cynicism honestly has gone a little bit less so. It's been minimized somehow because of this, even though we've reached, a lower level than before. At the same time, I really do have faith in this coaching staff now more than ever that, we don't even necessarily need to be the greatest team in the game in order to win the Super Bowl. Because even when we've built the Avengers, like we had all the players right, we somehow lost. And now when we've lost all the players, somehow we've won. So I really think that maybe the coaching staff is the key. And as long as we have guys like Kyle Shanahan and, some of the core guys like Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey and whatnot, I think we'll always have a chance. So I am kind of hopeful for the future more than ever, which is very weird to say because, I've been kind of cynical for a while now. But I will be realistic though. There is a lot of changes that we should expect to be addressed in the offseason because even though they're 12-5 and they've done this miracle run, this is by no means a perfect team, even when they are healthy. Like you said, Brian, they are getting older and there are going to be some free agents this offseason that, we should probably talk about, as well as some key departures, right? So, first of all, let's start with Robert Saleh. He already left. He bounced basically 2 days after the game, became the head coach of the Titans. Questionable move, I personally think, but
another toxic relationship.
it's a different one for sure. I don't really understand it, but he'll gone.
Be back. He'll be back soon enough. I hope.
2028.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we need a defensive coordinator. Do you think that there's anyone in mind that they should look at?
I'm not sure. Is there anyone who can hire? Of course, you'd always first look internally. Who is the next in command for Saleh out there?
There's rumors of Gus Bradley right now. He's on the staff.
Gus Bradley? Yeah, anyone familiar with the systems that can always point your eye in that direction. Or you can go out, look for other options, I don't think we can bring in someone, like a Fangio, like who's the guy on the Chiefs defensive coordinator, like
Spagnuolo.
Those like savants, Spagnuolo, like those savants out there. I don't know if there's I don't think there's like a veteran savant out there we can just drag over to the Niners. It'd either be, I think, internal or some young up and coming coordinator who's looking for a shot and would fit well into the Niners system.
I feel like the past few times when we brought someone who is outside the organization, they kind of fell flat.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Steve Wilks.
Like Steve Wilks.
That guy. Yeah.
Exactly. That guy. Who else? I think the guy last year. I think that might have
Sorensen.
been
He was internal, but he was a special teams guy before. He was kind of like not really, experienced in defense. And then Brandon Saleh was also kind of like a key defensive assistant there. So all of them didn't work.
I feel like I think we've been always hitting on homegrown talent or internal hires, because that's how I felt with Saleh, right? I felt like Saleh was kind of like homegrown, and same thing with D'Amico Ryans before they both left.
Yeah. I mean, Gus Bradley, he's an experienced guy. I just feel like the game's kind of passed him by. I mean, he was Pete Carroll's defensive coordinator in Seattle in the Legion of Boom days. And that's like the decade ago. He was the defensive coordinator with the Colts a couple years ago too, and he was not very good. So, I mean, if they hire Gus Bradley from within, he knows the system. This is his system. The Niners kind of run a Seattle kind of defense, the old Seattle defense, not the new Seattle defense, which is now confusing. But, I don't particularly would be great with that hire. I mean, I heard Raheem Morris was...
I was going to say, that's one name.
Best friend.
That's one name I can think of that is out on the market right now. He needs a new job.
I suppose.
Would he be a good fit?
I suppose. I don't know. I haven't heard great things about him, but as a defensive coordinator, I have no idea what he is as a person. But I don't know.
Secondary. He's probably secondary focused. Just given who he is. But I don't know. That's be my only guess. He could probably help our secondary, I would hope. But we'll see if it's better fits out there.
I think with coaches, definitely, it's more of a relationship kind of thing. Like, can Kyle work with the guy? And, he worked well with Saleh and D'Amico. He respected them. But I think with Steve Wilkes, he kind of he didn't really know what he was doing. And he always had to, clash with him. Like, Steve Wilkes then had to come to the sideline and stuff like that. So, depends on
the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was awful. I honestly don't know how we made the Super Bowl with that. But, yeah.
That was embarrassing when Kyle had to call timeout and tell Steve Wilkes, pick another play.
Oh, my.
You're giving me PTSD. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't want it to be Gus Bradley. I'd rather see Raheem Morris than Gus Bradley. And I don't even really know if Raheem Morris would be a good fit. Yeah, it's an important decision because it's really sunk or swam kind of our defenses for the last couple of years. All right. But, free agents, moving on to that. Let's talk about some of our free agents here. Let's just kind of go through some of the lists right here and say whether or not we should just re-sign them or not. First one I feel like is obvious here. Eddie Pinheiro, kicker.
Yes.
Resign that.
Resign that dude.
$1 billion.
That dude is good for the team.
Dude, that guy is hella accurate.
I love him. It was amazing how, we didn't even talk about the Jake Moody debacle, basically week 1, where he missed 3 field goals. And then, yeah, that was, oh my God.
He smooths it over so well. Just that didn't become an issue no more.
Is Jake Moody still with the Commanders?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't really want to follow that guy
Bounced
anymore.
around at least 1 or 2 teams, but I don't think he's been signed yet, if he will be signed.
But yeah. I remember when Eddie Pinheiro, when he missed that 63-yarder.
Sure.
And he hit the goalposts, and I was like, you just have to respect that. At least it was hella far, but at the same time, he just missed it by basically an inch. Yeah, I feel like you just gotta respect that.
It's so easy to just get a new kicker and just automatically it's just fixed.
You don't always want to get the kicker with the biggest leg because that doesn't always work out in your favor. Shout out to that one, Brett Maher. Yeah, that's his name. The guy who could only hit from 60 yards out and couldn't hit from 39.
Yeah, no, definitely sign Pinheiro to a lifetime deal. Forever. He could be a kicker forever, honestly.
Please.
All right, a big one here. Jawan Jennings, free agent.
Ooh, that's tough. Because he's gonna demand wide receiver 1.
Yeah,
money.
He's the type that would do that, I think.
Yeah, would you be comfortable with giving him $20 million a year? I don't think I would, right? Because we just talked about it. I think we need a new wide receiver, right? So do you feel like Juwan Jennings is a wide receiver 2 or a wide receiver 3? Because then it's like, if you're a wide receiver 2, maybe I can justify you being paid $20 million, because that's like, I mean, T. Higgins probably gets paid that much, if not more. And then if he's a wide receiver 3 and you're giving $20 million to him, that's just not able. You can't do that, right? So then it's just like, do you think he's better than Ricky Pearsall or not, right?
I felt like he was more impactful this year than Ricky. And I think the max you can give him is a wide receiver 2. Because wide receiver 1, I better be expecting like CeeDee Lamb or Puka Nacua type of production. But I feel like that's not what you get with Juwan Jennings.
Yeah. I think he walks. I mean, you guys said it right there. You have Pearsall that fills a very similar role as him already. And Juwan Jennings was always right. He was our third down wide receiver that we pointed to out there. But now, just by default, he had to basically be our top wide receiver option. And I feel like he's just a guy that, you know, has that pride, that confidence to him. I think if he gets a better deal elsewhere, I think he tries to jump ship.
Yeah, and that's not discounting how good he is as a player. He's a great player, and you know he has 2 touchdown passes in the playoffs to his name now. Like he's always been a great playoff performer for the team. But I mean, I think you price yourself out at a certain point, and I don't think they can afford that. I think Jennings has reached his ceiling with the team, and his ceiling is not enough to justify the cost if he wants that big deal. So, I mean, I'll miss him for sure, but he'll have a great time with the Raiders.
You got always
fun with Fernando
Raiders.
Mendoza.
Yeah, I definitely could see that, though. I mean, there's not a lot of other great players here. We're gonna lose our long snapper and our punter, also super old players. So, I mean,
those guys.
Yeah.
Thomas, just a random fun fact. Thomas Morstead was the punter when the Saints won their Super Bowl. That gives you just how long he's been in the league. He's been in the league.
Oh, they're ancient.
Yeah, like that's pre-2010s we're talking about here. So salute to those vets.
Yeah.
I would re-sign Tonjes.
Oh, Tonjes? Yeah, no, I could definitely see Tonjes coming back. Like, I don't think he's going to cost that much either. Unless someone's going to be crazy and I give him a huge deal. But I mean, he's good because, I mean, Kitto's going to be gone for a little bit. So they need a backup option.
Yeah, he's serviceable in that role, so we can keep him.
Yeah. Yetur Gross-Matos, get him the fuck out of here. I don't want to see him anymore. Spencer Burford, he's gone. I don't need to see him.
I thought he's been on the chopping block for the last 3 years, or however long he's been on the team. He's been on the chopping block, but he's still here. Burford.
He blew a Super Bowl, so fuck him. He didn't want to block Chris Jones, so he can get the fuck out.
Damn.
I don't care. I don't care if he was decent at left guard this year. It's over. Get him out. Kendrick Bourne, you're cool. You can stay. Sky Moore. Honestly, if he wants to come back and he's willing to come for cheap, he was a good returner last year. He's probably our best returner in a while.
Just have him be the return guy.
Yeah, he's cool. I'm okay with him. He did his job. Special teams was actually a lot better. I mean, obviously Rashid Shaheed return touchdown notwithstanding, special teams was much better this year. And, I'm glad that they kind of improved in that category. You saw what happened in the Rams game when you don't improve on special teams. Yeah. So, getting into the last portion here, we've covered the free agents, we've covered kind of Robert Saleh and kind of the overall outlook of this team. What do you think the Niners need to do first and foremost? What priorities do they need to address in the offseason in order to get better and to see them in the Super Bowl next year? What are the biggest weaknesses about this team?
Ooh, that's kind of tough.
It's not tough. There's a lot of weaknesses.
That's why it's tough. There's so many weaknesses on there.
Okay. How about first thing that comes in your mind? Let's do it on the count of 3. Just say the thing that you think is the biggest weakness. All right. 1, 2, 3. Pass rush.
O-line.
Defense. I think I had a feeling it was either going to be O-line or pass rush last defensive ends. Because it's either you start with the foundation of the offense, which is right, we talk about getting that run game back, or the foundation, or the biggest glaring hole of a defense, right? A historically bad pass rush. It's like, honestly, I didn't know what to choose as we're trying to count that down. It's like big areas for us.
Dillon, you said pass protection, right?
Yeah, I picked O-line just because, like, I feel like if you have a good O-line, you can get away with, like, your wide receivers not being, like, the best or cream of the crop. Because I think you mentioned, like, Purdy during the playoffs, he was, like, running for his life. And same thing even when Mac Jones was playing, right? Like, pocket that can easily collapse. And imagine, like, if our quarterbacks had actual time in the pocket. I feel like that enhances our offense so much. And I feel like a lot of people kind of like go after wide receivers, but they don't realize how much value there is to a really good O-line.
No, I definitely agree. And I think O-line's basically been our need for the last 3 years, and Kyle just never addresses it. That's one of the things he's stubborn about, and, frustrating. I mean, pass rush, O-line, I think they're the same thing. Like, yeah, like you said, Bryant, improve the trenches, both sides, and you can't go wrong with that. Like, I think pass rush, it depends on how well Nick Bosa comes back from his injury, and he's a little older now. And then Michael Williams, he was drafted last year to kind of be a member of that D-line opposite Bosa and get that pass rush. So if those guys get back healthy, maybe, and then Alfred Collins, CJ West, they get better, then your D-line settled. But I mean, I just didn't see it this year. Like, this year, I think they were just awful in pass rush, right? I think they had like the least amount of sacks, like the lowest pass pressures this season, right?
I thought it was some insane stat that our sack level was like magnitudes lower than any other team. I forgot the exact numbers, but it was like there was a massive drop off between us and like the next worst team on the list. So yeah, this is nothing going on down on the defensive end line.
Yeah, it was one of the lowest in the NFL this season, basically. It was like last in the NFL, dead last, with 26%. And then 12 total sacks in the entire season, which is less than Myles Garrett times 2.
Yeah, so. Jesus, man. That is pukingly bad. Yeah,
and then if you look at all the top 4 teams left in the conference championships, the Broncos, Patriots, Seahawks, Rams, what did they all have in common? They were all top 4 in interior defensive pressure, basically pressure gained from the defensive tackles and the defensive linemen. So, and they were all in the, conference championships. And Seattle and New England, they're both really good at getting pressure with just 4 guys. So when you don't have to blitz and, take guys from the secondary and go and, attack the quarterback, you get a much better defense, because then you can pressure with just 4. Everyone else doesn't have to go into the backfield. They have to stay back and cover, and then you're just a much better defense overall. Like, I think you saw a lot of times the linebackers, like you said, Dillon, the 6th and 7th linebackers out there, they're trying to get everyone aligned, and they're so confused on like whether to even blitz or not. Like, then the whole defense breaks down. Everyone gets confused out there. So definitely trenches, pass rush. I'd love that. Offensive line, I think we should address it, but I don't think we ever will. They really should, though. I mean, Trent Williams is really old now.
He's really old forever.
Yeah,
I think
he's a great offensive lineman, but again, like, I know what you're about to say, Brian, but at some point, like, it'll be over for him.
Yeah, I think for O-line, we should look into free agency for whoever we get there, get another veteran presence on that line to shore it up, as, Trent Williams, ages and the rest of the line is beleaguered out there. And I think we can go for some veterancy on the O-line there, and then draft pick maybe someone on the defensive side of the ball. But those are my thoughts.
Please get a center. I would love to get a free agent center. I think Tyler Linderbaum, the Ravens guy. He is. Oh my God.
That'd be a game changer. You have him on center. You got still Trent Williams out there left tackle for a season. That'd be a combo. Now we're back.
Because I heard Kyle Shanahan, he lets the center basically adjust the protections. He doesn't let the quarterback do the protections. So basically Jake Brendel is the one who's been, aligning the O-line, making sure that they're not pressuring the quarterback. Well, he's done a fucking terrible job of it, because they keep on letting Brock Purdy run for his life out there. So yeah, get a smart center, who can actually protect Brock Purdy. I think Jake Randall's the worst member of the offensive line, by the way. Like, I think he's like the center's the worst one. So they definitely need to upgrade there. Man, there's a lot though.
It's too much to hold up on. I already talked about it too, but I was thinking in terms of like, pass rush, I think Trey Hendrickson's probably the biggest name on going to the offseason there. So pair him was like a joke. Pairing him with the Bosa, or hell, bring back Bosa twins on the same team. That'd be insane. So you could look elsewhere for pass rush too.
Yeah, I wonder honestly, are you gonna listen this time, Joey? Come on, come to the Niners finally. He was supposed to come last year, and he chose Buffalo. That didn't work for you. Now they look like a complete train wreck. So, come on, man. Stop dancing around it. Let's just do this thing already.
Come over here, yeah.
Yeah, and then, I mean, other than that, like we've talked about the defensive line, offensive line. Personally, I want to see speed. I want to see a lot more speed this year, because I wonder, like, both on the defensive side and the offensive side, like, the defensive side, I think our safeties aren't very good. Like, I hate to say it, but like Malik Mustafa, Marquise Siegel, and Jair Brown, they're just not it, man. Like, Brown and Siegel are not it. Mustafa's kind of good sometimes. I can see it sometimes, but he's really inconsistent. I think if we had like an all-world safety back there, like John Lynch was, I don't know how hard it is to, draft a safety. Or maybe he doesn't know his qualities. Yeah.
Look what the Seahawks have done with Iwamori there, right? That's now he's almost like the new breed of safeties that are like good against the run, good against the pass, and they're just so versatile out there. So get a guy like that, that'd be incredible.
Yeah. He's like a game changer out there. It's like, imagine having a Fred Warner basically out there in the secondary to clean up basically everybody else in coverage and, run game. Like, he comes screaming down and, he wraps up in the run game and, he helps on, pass coverage. Like, if we can get a guy like that, and I don't think, in the past decade or so as a Niners fan, we've had an all-world safety out there. Like, maybe the last time we've had one is like Deshaun Goldson and like Dante Whitner. If you guys remember back then.
Wow, Dante Whitner just struck a name in my head. Those are names I haven't thought of in a while.
Dante Whitner, man, he just like gives out concussions.
Questionable nickname there, yeah. But but they were great safeties and they did a lot in that defense. And I just wish we had that guy. Like, I felt like we need a lot of speed on defense. Like, I feel like we were always so slow and we didn't tackle out there. And I think we definitely need an upgrade there. This one's going to be a little bit more controversial. I think we need a new running back to help Christian McCaffrey transition to the next stage of his career, which is probably going to be wide receiver one. He is already wide receiver
just
one.
Just make him our wide receiver one. Just make him a wide receiver at this point.
He basically is. He's getting all these touches, right? He basically had the most touches. And I think he had like the 6th most receptions this year out of everybody.
And he eclipsed 1,000 yards this year too, right?
Yeah, he was crazy basically. Like, he did all this stuff. But you could see how much it's putting a toll on his body, first of all. We'll see if he breaks down next year, and I really hope not. But, I mean, we expended every last juice of Christian McCaffrey. And you talked about the electrical substations, Bryant. I honestly think it was Christian McCaffrey blood sacrifices that made more sense than the electrical substation. Like, you could see that. Like, there's no way that guy got healthy basically the entire season. And he had the most touches in the entire NFL to boot. So, yeah, but you could see it. You could see it because every time in that Seahawks game when we did run, I was trying to look for a hole. Their offensive line, and there were holes. There were actually sometimes holes. But Christian McCaffrey wasn't fast enough to get there. And I don't want to blame McCaffrey. He's done a hell of a job. But at the same time, I just haven't seen that same burst. I haven't seen that same speed and acceleration that, he had back in 2023, 24, right? Or like Raheem Mostert used to do back with the 49ers. Like, the 49ers run game has always been predicated on quick cuts and, getting to the edge and like going really, really, really fast, right? That's why you see these guys like Mostert and Devon Achane with Mike McDaniel. Like, these guys are fast, right? I just think we need a running back that maybe can get to that second level and just, take off for these huge gains. Like, I don't think Christian McCaffrey's biggest run was more than 20 yards this year. And that was kind of like a miracle.
That's the biggest hit.
Yeah.
I mean, who do you get out there? Hey, Breece Hall. Is it time for Breece Hall to come here?
Maybe.
Take the last piece of anything good out of the Jets. Really take him.
Hey, man, I think he wants out. Same thing with Garrett Wilson.
He's a free agent this year.
That he wanted out. Yeah. Okay. Breece Hall, come over here. Join us.
Oh, do we want Breece Hall? I don't know. It's hard because he's
too expensive, I think.
It's weird because I don't want to lose McCaffrey. I don't want to completely that's the Kyle Shanahan conundrum, right? Because I think Kyle Shanahan also was like, I don't want to take McCaffrey off the field because McCaffrey's so good. At the same time, he's gonna die out there if I keep on putting him out there, right? And I think that's what he was constantly going through. Like, do I put in Brian Robinson or not? And Brian Robinson's not that kind of guy. Like, he was great this year, but he's a slower guy. He's a bigger guy, right? He's kind of like a thunder. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it'd be cool though.
Yeah, maybe it's time for the classic Shanahan draft a random running back in round 5 or round 6 or something like that, and then we'll see if he works out. They haven't usually worked out, but maybe it's time for that.
more like round 3. He's gonna go round 3, trade up, draft a guy from Ohio State, and then we'll never see him again.
Exactly, that could definitely happen.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that guy's already on the roster. We had Jordan James. We drafted him from Oregon this year. We didn't even see him until the end of the year. That was the first game, I think, this last week. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, thinking a bit about the draft, right? I think we have pick 27 in the first round. Who can we go for at that point out there? I mean, we're not gonna get guys we'll get safety Caleb Downs, right? He's gonna be gone.
Oh man, I
wish. Then there is one guy, and not everyone has declared for the draft yet, so you don't know who's gonna be available at certain times. Of course, we're probably going off our history aren't gonna go for O-line out there. Defense, there's a couple guys we could potentially look at. There's a guy, Caleb Banks from Florida, that I've heard is making waves. He can be that pass rusher. He can play defensive end or nose tackle out there. He's a big guy. That could be someone to look at. But the name, of course, me being me, as the USC boy, I have to look at my guys out there. There is a couple names I want to look at here. These are both wide receivers, which isn't the biggest priority, but I think that can definitely fit in our offense, right? Mekhi Lemon, he's the Blintikoff winner this year, the top wide receiver in college football. He may or may not be available by the time the 27's hit comes around, but that is a big play wide receiver, which I think is what we're missing right now. We're either missing a wide receiver that can catch those big bombs of a pass, or a guy that's was like what Deebo Samuel was doing, right? Can take a pass, run the jet sweep, once he gets a full head of steam, he can just run down the field like that. Those are just, I think, what we've been missing for this time. The guy I'm really looking at is an ex-USC guy now in Georgia, Zachariah Branch. Because you're talking about speed, that guy is electric. He's done a ton of damage just returning kicks, punts for touchdowns. He does a couple every season. But this is a guy doing my best Chris Collinsworth impression. Now here's a guy that can run with a full head of steam, can make guys miss. I can see him already, Zachariah Branch, being that Deebo Samuel replacement, taking the ball and just running away with it out there. So could be something to look at. I could definitely see the Niners doing that, and we will be like, no, what are you doing? You gotta do something about the pass rush, gotta do something about the O-line out there. And then
I totally want
this
a
is the
wide
guy.
receiver. No, I totally want a wide receiver. Like I'm saying, the objective should be now, how am I gonna get past Seattle at this point, right? Seattle is a defense that will force you to check it down all the time and not do the explosive play. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't have an offense that can do that. I feel like there's a lack of explosives for the Niners as a whole this season. Lack of an explosive player on the defensive side, lack of an explosive player on the offensive side, right? There wasn't a lot of deep bombs for touchdowns. There wasn't a lot of deep runs for touchdowns. We need someone like a Puka. And I know it's crazy to say, oh, we just need a Puka. Yeah, everyone needs a Puka. But we need a Puka or a JSN out there, kind of an elite wide receiver, someone that can create explosives. Or you go the McVay route and you try to get another tight end and try to get into the trend of the 3 tight end system, because I think that's what the league is going to start
Triple
going
tight
to, right?
formation.
I know it's crazy now that it's a real thing, but now the triple tight is probably going to start becoming a trend in the NFL.
Man, G was ahead of his time.
Yep. That's why you listen to the Sports Counsel podcast. We always are ahead of the time. Young men, triple tight, we know the game, right? McVay listens to us. But I think we need some, more explosive offensive players. Like, get some skill players out there. And it's so, biggest thing though, honestly, can we just draft fucking better just overall? Like, I don't know who we have basically for the last couple of years that have been big contributors. Like, obviously Upton Stout played the entire season, but he was kind of on and off also. Jordan Watkins, he was a wide receiver from Ole Miss that we drafted this year. I don't think we ever saw him play a game. And, Nick Martin, linebacker, he never really played a game either. He got a concussion, pretty gnarly. And I don't think he's even cleared concussion protocol, which is worrying. But
that sucks.
At a certain point, though, you got to get these guys out on the field and even see what they can do. You can't keep failing at these draft picks because, our divisional rivals are drafting JSN in the first round and Puka Nacua in the 5th round. We need to do something. John Lynch, please.
Make that splash play because, who was our last great draft pick? Purdy? God.
Yeah, that was 22, I believe.
22, 23-ish,
Lord.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know. I want to see. I want to take a look at our last draft. I think it was basically, Michael Williams was our first pick. And then, I don't know what happened after that. I think it was, a bunch of defensive tackles. And Jordan James, Nick Martin, Jordan Watkins, Siegel, and then a bunch of random guys. Yeah, we need to draft better. We're never going to get anywhere if we don't draft better players. You can't sign everybody. Okay. Well, we've reached our hour of 49ers ranting at this point. I think I did a lot of ranting personally here. But, do you guys have anything else to add before we kind of end this?
Damn, I need more medicinal tequila,
next year
dude.
Would be better than this one. What inspiring reactions for the hopes of the Niners.
I'm gonna buy a Patron. Bottle of Patron.
Just gotta keep on believing.
Drink it until the start of next season, or at least till the draft.
I honestly do think the future's bright, though. Like, I feel like, again, if they could do it with this roster, and this is not a very good roster, I think they could do it with, if they start getting better in terms of upgrading the personnel. Like, you got to commit to one side here, right? You either get some more star talent or you build around your star talent. Can't do both at the same time. We saw that with the Warriors. So, didn't work out.
All eyes. I honestly, after this episode, all eyes on the front office to either bring in the right guys from free agency or finally hit on that draft pick that makes a difference out there. I think, it's all up to you guys in the front office.
What I forgot about this guy. What do you do with Aiyuk?
Well, John Lynch said that he gone, bro.
Where are we at with him? There's no way he can stay here.
You think we can trade him or no?
What's up with his contract? What can we do with him?
Is there anything we want from the Commanders? Because he wants to play with his boy Jaden Daniels.
Debo's a free agent, right? Let's just bring him back.
Let's bring back Debo.
Dang, that's crazy.
Who the fuck is on the Commanders? I don't even know. You could take Terry McLaurin, but I don't think they're gonna go for that.
I don't think it fits with our offense or what we're looking for, at least.
Yeah, there's nothing. If they have a good offensive lineman, I'd take him. But I have a feeling they're just gonna release him. I honestly don't know how he's gonna get a job.
But yeah,
who's gonna give a guy a contract after he quit on a team basically for a whole year, and he suffered like the worst ACL tear ever the year before that, and he was basically terrible the year before. Like, It's been 2 years since he's played football.
What are you talking about, Matt? Plenty of teams will like him, like the Jets, like the Raiders, like the Titans. They could, anyone at the bottom of the stack would love to take a shot on Brandon. I think the Raiders would be a perfect.
I think the Browns are actually going to go. The Raiders, oh my god. Put Aiyuk in Vegas. I mean, it
fits with the team. Just like trouble with the law and the Raiders, the Pirates team out there, man. It's just the match made in heaven.
And wide receivers who speed.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Well, on that note, that is probably going to do
anything about that comment.
That is going to do it for today's episode of the show. No, I'm not going to cut that out.
Don't. Say it with your chest.
Be sure to tune in to more episodes of the Sports Counsel podcast, available on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts from. We will be doing a Super Bowl preview episode, and it should be very fun. We will be on the scene in San Francisco, our hometown, our home area. So we'll definitely do a lot of festivities there. Catch us out there. Grab a t-shirt, grab a sticker or two. Check it out. But sports_counsel on all our social medias. Follow us there. And, keep enjoying. Anything else you want to say before we end the show?
What a season. But unfortunately, we fell short once again. Just got to keep believing.
I'm looking forward to see what young men we can bring into the team next year and hope they perform.
Let's get Liddy at the Super Bowl tailgate. Patron on me. Bang bang, Niner gang.
It's not just any Patron. It's a medicinal Patron.
Medicinal Patron. Tequila. Oh, I love tequila. I love George Kittle. He and I think alike. We'll see you later.
See ya.